Bonjour, mon ami. We have been covering the story of sort of the far right rise. I don't even want to say far right rise, but the rise of the right in Europe these days. So, the establishment in France is apparently going after political pundit Marine Le Pen. I've been aware of her since I was a teenager. She's been a very, you could say, controversial figure in the right of France and French politics for as long as I've been alive. She apparently has been sentenced to house arrest for over missuing EU funds, but she announces a run for presidency in France anyways. So she's now going to try to contend with the ilk or the retardation of Emmanuel Macron, who is fairly retarded, as we like to say. So here is the article from Visegrad24 on Twitter. National rally leader Marine Le Pen has been sentenced to 3 years in prison, 2 of which are suspended. Sorry, I'm using 2 monitors now, so my thing is jumping all over the place. And fined 100,000 euro. The remaining 1 year will be served under house arrest with an electronic bracelet. Let's take a look at this.
Madame Le Pen, comment vous sentez?
Madame Le Pen. Madame Le Pen.
Madame Le Pen. All right, so this is just a video of her in the courthouse. Because Le Pen had already begun serving the disqualification from the initial ruling, the court ruled that the ineligibility period has been satisfied, making her eligible to run in France's April 2027 presidential election. Le Pen has previously stated that she would not seek the presidency if forced to campaign while wearing an electronic ankle monitor, probably as a disrespect to her own ego. I'm not saying that in the dig to her, but it makes sense. She's been a very famous right-wing French politician for a long time. Here's the thing. If Marine Le Pen wins the French presidency, I think we'll see big changes. Big changes to the way that France is run. Because she does not F around. She's talked about it with radical Islam at all. And that is one of the biggest issues plaguing France at the moment. So it says, wow, right-wing frontrunner Marine Le Pen has just been cleared to run for French presidential election next year. Let's take a look.
Le Pen, the far-right leader, got convicted in court and is now banned from running for office for 5 years. Do you have a comment on that?
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years, and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country.
Le Pen, the far-right leader, got...
So there's Trump chiming in. President Trump called Le Pen the leading candidate. They fought to ban her from the ballot just like Trump in 2024. Here is a rare clip of Charlie Kirk. Man, I miss this guy. We haven't heard him speak in a long time. I miss reacting to his videos, man. I love Charlie. We miss Charlie dearly. We really do. Doesn't everyone feel that? I really feel it. I really feel that I miss Charlie Kirk. Marine Le Pen would have restricted the immigration policy, and Charlie Kirk is right about France. Let's take a look.
From what I understand, and it's very little about the wokeism in France, is they're trying to eradicate French identity, the French language, through multiracial, multicultural immigration. And what basically happened from my outsider understanding, which was so disappointing, is that Marine Le Pen basically was very left on most issues except immigration. And for whatever reason, Macron wants to continue this mass migration into France, and you get wokeism paired with mass migration. And that will be the death of France, period. And that's a tragedy. I hope your country wakes up to that and slows down the flow of migrants into your country to preserve your beautiful culture. I love French culture. I'm not French. I have no French ancestry. But you should be proud of where you're from. You have a lot to be proud of. You have an amazing history and culture. And why are you bringing a bunch of third worlders to destroy it? You have a great culture, and you're a great people, and you have amazing contributions of thinkers and writers and food and art and history and language. And your country ceases to exist when you don't protect your country. And what is a country if it's not a borders, shared language, history? And we get called all these nasty names for saying that, but I want to see more countries stand up for who they are and what they believe in, and I hope France starts to do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had the privilege of extensively traveling through a lot of parts of France, and it's a country that I actively chose to never go back to, at least not by my own will, unless I need to go, just because of what goes on there. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of what goes on there. I think it's been an absolute shit show. It's been a mess for as long as I've been alive, and it just kept getting worse and worse. There was like 6 years there where I would go to France almost every year in succession. And I visited Marseille, I visited Nice, I visited the Saint-Tropez, I visited Dieppe, the Normandy coast, Paris, Lyon, I've been to Bordeaux, I've been all over France. And it is a great country with great people. And I know a lot of French people. I grew up around a lot of French people, specifically French Moroccan Jews, who are more French than they are Moroccan, at least the ones that I know. But it is a shame what's been going on in the country, and everyone feels it too, by the way. If you ask the average French person, as long as they're not a leftist, they're going to tell you our country's going to shit. So here's another clip of Marine Le Pen. France will take all necessary steps. Radical mosques will be closed. Let's take a look.
Mais j'en appelle à la sagesse et au bon sens des Français. Qu'on me donne une raison, une seule, pour garder sur notre territoire des étrangers qui collaborent avec une idéologie totalitaire qui veut la mort des Français. Les binationaux en lien avec l'idéologie islamiste doivent être déchus de leur nationalité et expulsés. Les Français qui adoptent l'idéologie de l'ennemi doivent être traduits devant les tribunaux et punis. Les lois existent, il suffit de les appliquer. Eh bien, moi, Présidente, ces lois seront appliquées sans faiblir. En quelques semaines, je vous le promets, la France aura pris toutes les dispositions nécessaires pour se mettre à l'abri des fichiers S et en totale conformité avec notre état de droit. Les mosquées radicales seront fermées, les prêcheurs de haine expulsés, les associations faunées du salafisme et des frères musulmans seront dissoutes. Avec moi, ayez la certitude que les droits des femmes aujourd'hui contestés par l'obscurantisme islamiste seront garantis à toutes les femmes de France. Avec moi, la sécurité n'ira pas à l'encontre de la liberté, en tout cas de la liberté des honnêtes gens. Je veux le dire et le répéter.
So, the one factor for me that I'm just not certain of with France is I don't know if the people of France have the willingness to fight anymore. There's that joke, there's that age-old joke about France or the French people and or Macron specifically, like Iran and Israel start a war, France surrenders. It's a pretty funny joke because it does feel like the people of France have been somewhat neutered by their government, by their fellow leftists inside of the country. And it's just created a very sad situation where I don't know if they have the willingness to actually fight this. In the UK, you're seeing movements popping up. In Italy and in France, or in Italy and in Spain, you're seeing movement. Spain, I will say a little bit less so even than France, but you're seeing movements popping up all over Europe. But the question is, will they actually do it? In the UK, you could see it is happening. Something's happening. In the Netherlands, you see that something's happening. In Italy, you definitely know that something's happening. I just don't know about France. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to pull off what they need to pull off so that they don't end up screwing themselves over, screwing themselves out of an opportunity to survive here. Here's Marine Le Pen. I'm going to deport all foreign Islamists.
Oui, Monsieur Darmanin, les islamistes étrangers, je vais les expulser. Et si je ne peux pas les expulser parce que tel ou tel pays ne souhaite pas les reprendre, alors je les mettrai en centre de rétention, car je ne souhaite pas que des islamistes se baladent dans les rues de France. Parce que je considère que ce sont, comme vous d'ailleurs, des terroristes en puissance. Vous avez dit, il n'y a pas de différence entre l'islamisme et le terrorisme si ce n'est une question de degré. Je partage votre avis. Je les crois très dangereux. Je vois ce qu'ils ont fait dans les pays dans lesquels ils ont pris le pouvoir. Excusez-moi. Dans les pays dans lesquels ils ont pris le pouvoir, monsieur, ils assassinent, ils violent, ils commettent des crimes de masse. Ils jettent des homosexuels du haut des immeubles. Eh bien, moi, je ne veux pas qu'ils prennent le moindre risque qu'ils puissent faire ça dans mon pays.
So there she is saying it to their faces, what she feels. And then our last here is breaking. Marine Le Pen announces she is running for the president of France next year. So listen, Marine Le Pen winning would be huge. It would be huge for Europe. It would be huge for the West. It's just, I've said it so many times. I grew up in a world where the pendulum swung really far left, like really, really, really far left. And I grew up in a world, becoming a young man, in a world where leftism was the base and everybody else had to adhere to leftism, and the right was kind of like seen as like a weird cult. And I even played into that stuff too as a young adult growing up. But now that I'm older, I see the error of that way, the error of that thinking. It's so messed up. And I personally, I'm tired. I'm sorry. I think that it would be very, very interesting to see 2027 a right France. We already have a semi-right Netherlands, I believe. A right-wing Spain. If what's his name? Pedro Sanchez loses, and that right-wing guy who I really liked, I forget his name. If we see a Rupert Lowe or a Nigel Farage taking over the UK, I believe the AfD already won in Germany, so already we have a right-wing government in Germany now. Poland, maybe Austria. Poland's already pretty right-wing. It would be interesting to see what happens to Europe in a reality where everybody leading the continent is right-wing. It would be interesting to see what that looks like. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it would be a very interesting and maybe very beneficial change for the Europeans. But that is left to be seen on whether, and the biggest situation is, do they have the will to fight? Let's see.